Good morning, everybody. Thank you for joining me today. I hope this week you are feeling really proud of yourselves. The reason I say that is that we have been working really hard to do our Victorian Workhouse Diaries. And I know that what you've come up with is incredible. I've seen lots that started filtering on my emails. I've obviously seen the ones that have been done in class. And I know many more of you will be sending your work in at the end of the week, so I'll get to see that today. Like I say, I really hope you're feeling proud of yourself because I know you put a huge amount of effort into that. I know that you've been working really hard to do your paragraphs, do your frontside verbials, and chuck in some of that historical knowledge as well. So a big pat on the back, well done. Because we've kind of finished off that unit now and we've thought about our diary entry there, we're going to just finish our week of literacy with a bit of a one-off actually, just because we've reached the end of the week there, we've done really well. We're going to be doing a little bit of reading comprehension today, and we're going to do a text based on Victorian school life, because I thought then we can get a bit of historical learning in at the same time. Apologies, there's sort of certain elements of this which doesn't lend itself hugely well to a video, but I'm sure we can make a good fist of it. So we're going to be thinking then about a reading comprehension. Here is the text that we're going to be looking at. We're going to go through this together, and then there's going to be some questions at the end for you to think about. So make sure you're following along on the screen. Make sure you're reading the words as I read them, so you can sort of follow along at the same time. And then at the end, there'll be some questions. Obviously, when there are the questions, you are very welcome. And indeed, I'd encourage you to scroll back through the video, find the part that you need, and then answer your question as well. Okay. So Victorian school life. Life in a Victorian school was very different from today. There were no laptops, tablets, or films to watch, and teachers were much stricter. School. To begin with, only some children went to school in Victorian times. Boys from rich families went to private schools, while girls were often taught at home. Some charities and churches provided free schools for poor children, but the classrooms were often really big, sometimes with more than 100 pupils per class. In 1880, a law was passed saying that every child between the ages of 5 and 10 had to go to school. Lessons. Pupils called male teachers sir and female teachers madam or miss. A lot of the lessons involved listening to the teacher and copying things down from the blackboard. Like today, reading, writing and maths were very important. Instead of learning in a fun way, children often had to memorize things. They would chant the times tables, for example, until they knew them off by heart. Days were long and usually lasted until 5 p.m. Here is an example of a Victorian day in school. 9 to 9:10, prayers. 9:10 to 10:10, scripture, that's Bible work. 10:10 to 11:10, arithmetic, maths. 11:10 to 11:30, playtime. 11:30 to 12, writing. 12 to 2, lunch, pupils usually went home for that. 2 to 2:45, drill, that's PE. 2:45 to 3:30, woodwork for boys or cooking for girls. 3:30 to 4:30, science, and 4:30 to 5 o'clock, reading, like we're doing now. Equipment. When writing, pupils often use something sharp to scratch letters onto a flat piece of rock called a slate. It was a bit like a whiteboard, as the slate could be wiped clean and used again. Older children may have been given paper and a special pen that was dipped into ink. The ink was held in little pots in the desk called inkwells. They were refilled each morning. Victorian classrooms had windows high up so children couldn't look outside. This was so they could concentrate on their work. The classrooms usually had an abacus, beads on a wire to help with counting, and a map of the world. You can see an abacus on the page there. Punishment. Here's what might happen if you did something wrong in a Victorian school. If you told lies, skipped school, or were rude or being lazy, your possible punishment was the cane, and that's a stick that the teacher would hit the pupil with. If your crime was not understanding, your punishment was wearing a dunce's hat, and the teacher made the pupil wear a hat with the word dunce written on it, which meant stupid. The dunce had to stand in the corner of the room. Other punishments. Children might have had to do lines where they copied the same sentence over and over again, perhaps 100 times. In some schools, if a pupil was really naughty, they would be beaten with a leather strap or perhaps hung from the ceiling in a wicker basket using ropes and pulleys. Would you like to have gone to school in the Victorian times? Okay, hopefully then that's given you a little flavour, firstly, of what school would have been like in the Victorian times, and also some reading that we're going to answer some questions on this, so a bit of a mix and match. Some of those things we've spoken about before in school, certainly the dunce's hats, I think we've mentioned. The idea that actually school was different for boys and girls, and also the fact that it was only actually quite late in the Victorian era that children actually all went to school. Before 1880, when this law was passed saying that every child between the ages of 5 and 10 had to go to school, really it would have been mainly rich children and mainly boys. Okay, so your questions then. I'm going to leave you to do these yourself. So this is something you're going to pause the video, answer each one, and then move on for. I really would encourage you, when you're sort of thinking, oh, I don't know about that one, scroll back through the video, find that section that you need, and use that to answer the question. That's not cheating looking back, that's actually what we need to be doing here. So it's referring back to the text in order to answer these questions. I know it's a bit fiddly and I'm sorry about that, but I'm sure we'll make that through today. So I'll go through the questions now, and there will be the answers at the end there that you can check as well. So good luck, have fun. Okay, so here we are at the answers. Well done for giving that a good go this morning. Apologies that the format for this is a little bit trickier on a video. I know that's a bit frustrating. I'm sorry you're needing to scroll back through the video and so on. But hopefully we've A, found out a little bit more about the Victorian times, and B, done a little bit of reading and a bit of comprehension work as well there. So although it might have been a little bit tricky for you to do, and a bit fiddly maybe on a phone or an iPad or whatever, but hopefully that's been useful and interesting. Well done for keeping up with that. I will see you back. Oh, sorry, the second page of the answers as well. There you go. I will see you back here for maths very shortly. Have a good morning.